Hi guys, my name is Bongz Sibu and I'll be explaining the FIFO method. Okay, we find out that FIFO method applies in both perpetual and a periodic inventory system. As we have this table now, we're gonna be calculating our cost of sales using the FIFO method. We have our opening balances, which is 100 units at 10 rands. The first purchase, which is 150 units at 11 rand. Our first sales, which is 200 units at 20 rands. The purchases we had at 1 rand, 100 units at 12 rands. There's our second sales, 150 at 20 rands. Now, first, calculating our cost of sales, we have to acknowledge our sales first. We have our 200 sales, which is we're gonna use the opening balance, the price of the opening balance, which is 10 rands. Why do we use that? Because of FIFO, first in, first out. And then okay, we're gonna take, as we can see that we have 100 units as our opening balances. We're gonna scratch out our 100 units and then we are left with 100 in our sales. Then we're gonna say 100 times 10, which is 1000. As you can see here, we set 100 units at 10 rand, which is 1000 rand the total cost. And then looking at our purchases, we have 150 purchases, and then we're gonna take the 100 that we have in our sales, which is the one we're gonna use to further calculate our cost of sales. Looking here, we're gonna be having 50 left because we're gonna say 100 minus that 100, we're gonna have 50. Then we're gonna use the 100 at 11 rand, which we're gonna get 1100. As you can see that we used 200, the 200 that we used, and then there's the 100 for opening balance, the 100 that we have in purchases. Therefore, in our purchases, we only left with 50 units. Okay. Looking at our second sales, we have 150 units at 20 rands. Now we want to further calculate our cost of sales. What do? We have 50 units here, so we're gonna say 150. We're gonna say 50 times 11, which will give us 550, as you can see here. Now we are left with 100 units in our sales, which corresponds with our purchases, that the purchases that we already had, 100 units at 12 rands. And then, as you can see, what do? We say 100 at 12 rand, which is 1200. As you can see that, okay, we had 150 sales, and then you can see we have 150 sales. Now, calculating our cost of sales, we add all our totals, the totals that we get at multiplying, and then it's multiplying our quantity and our price, which is 1000 plus 1100 plus 550 plus 1200, which will give us 3850. That's our cost of sales. And looking at our closing stock, we do not have any closing stock, just because as you can see that we have 350 units that we sold and 350 units that we purchased and had as our opening balance. Thank you.
Today we're doing weighted average, as you all can see over here. Weighted average, as Bongz has done it right. So we'll look at the table that Bongz used in his FIFO method. That is the table. We've got the quantity, we've got the price, we've got the opening balance, the purchases, the sales. So in weighted average, guys, what it is we've got two ways of calculating. Basically, we don't have the one way which Bongz calculated. We've got periodic has its own way of calculation, perpetual has its own way of calculating. In periodic, guys, what you do is you only include the purchases. You say opening balance plus purchase plus purchases, and then you get your totals. Whereas in perpetual, you do it continuously. You understand, guys? So let's go back to a periodic. In periodic, what you do is, as you add up everything on the quantity side, you add up on the total side. You say the total divided by the quantity, you get your price, right? And then taking away from the table, guys, I just want to take away the table for you guys, as you can see. Let's go on to perpetual. So in perpetual, what you do is, as I explained to you guys, is that this is continuously. So you say opening balance plus your purchases, you get your balance. You always balance it. Each and every time you say balance. And then what you do is next, you go back to your table, right? Which was here. You take off the sales, right? So you'd say balance, which you got, you minus your sales, and you get another balance. So, and then you would do that right through for everything. So each purchase is added on, each sale is minus. Then you'd calculate and you'd get a table just like this one. And then how you count cost of sales, how you calculate cost of sales is you take your sales that you got there, right guys? You take the sales which you got for the second part and you add them together and you get a total. That total is the same as the total in the periodic. Always remember that, guys. If you're asked to do both, just look, if that total is the same as that, then you're on the right path. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed our lesson.